So, what if I told you there's this type of writing out there with a huge built-in audience, an audience that is always looking for new stuff to read? Well, that's what we're diving into today. We're going to break down the blueprint for devotional writing. And believe me, it's a genre that's way more than just nice words on a page. It's about crafting a message that can, genuinely change someone's life.
Okay, so what do teachers, teens, and veterans all have in common? Yeah, it totally sounds like the start of a bad joke, right? But the answer, well, it actually reveals this incredibly powerful connection. And for any writers out there, it's the key to unlocking a massive, and I mean massive market that a lot of people just overlook. So here it is. They're all target audiences for devotionals. Yep, devotional books and content. I mean, think about it. You've got college students trying to figure things out, athletes looking for that mental edge, grandparents, teachers, the list goes on. The audience for this kind of writing is just so incredibly diverse, and they're all hungry for something that speaks right to what they're going through.
And here's where the opportunity really gets kind of crazy. Some of these publications, they need 365 new devotionals every single year. Think about that. They can't just recycle last year's stuff. This means there's this constant, never-ending demand for new writers, fresh voices, and different perspectives. The market has to be filled year in and year out. All right, so you can see the opportunity, right? It's huge. But, and this is a big but, writing a devotional that actually connects with people isn't just about filling a market need. It really starts with you, the writer. It's all about your intention, your mindset, what you're bringing to the table before a single word even hits the page.
So the writer, Jerry Jenkins, he kind of breaks it down into 3 key things. First, you need a pure heart. Your goal can't be to sound smart or show off your writing skills. It has to be about genuinely wanting to help someone. Second, you need a focused mind. And this is tough, because the real trick is to take a big, profound idea and distill it down into like 150, 175 words. And finally, you've got to have a burning desire, this deep need to say the right thing, the perfect words, for someone out there who's struggling and needs to hear it. And that's really the heart of it all, isn't it? This idea is, well, it's pretty profound. The words you sit down and write today could be the very thing that helps someone through a crisis a year, maybe 2 years from now, a crisis you couldn't possibly predict. It's almost like you're sending a message of hope into the future, just waiting for the right person to find it at the right time. Okay, so we've talked about the why and the heart behind it. Now, let's get practical. How do you actually build one of these things? How do you structure such a short but powerful piece of writing? Well, there's a blueprint for it. A really straightforward one, actually, built on 5 patterns that you can start using, right away. And the great thing about these 5 patterns is that anyone can use them. You seriously don't need a theology degree. The first 3 are all about telling stories. Your own personal experience, a story about someone else, or maybe a lesson you learned from a conversation. The other 2 get a little more creative. One uses an everyday object as a metaphor, and the other plays with the meaning of a common phrase. They're really just simple, foundational building blocks. Okay, let's put this theory into practice. Let's take one really powerful passage of Scripture, Psalm 11, and just see how these different patterns can pull out completely different but equally powerful messages, all from the exact same text. This is the gut punch question right at the heart of the psalm. And man, does this feel relevant today or what? If the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? It speaks directly to those times when everything feels like it's falling apart, socially, politically, even personally. When it feels like the ground under your feet is just gone. So to give you a little context, the world this psalm was written in was pure chaos. The writer, David, is literally being told by his friends, hey, you got to get out of here. Run for the hills because everything is collapsing. It's a scene filled with fear, with instability, and the common wisdom is just to retreat, to hide, instead of standing firm. So how do you turn that into a 175-word devotional? Well, this is where the patterns come in. Check this out. Using the object lesson pattern, you could draw a parallel to those trees you see after a tsunami. They're still standing, right? But they're dead inside, bearing no fruit. That's a powerful image for societal decay. Or you could use the double meaning phrase pattern. Think about the U.S. Marines and their corp values, CORPS. You can play on that and talk about the spiritual core values, CORE, that we need when our own foundations are shaken. See how that works? Same scripture, but 2 completely different, really creative angles. But here's the most important part. The Psalm's answer isn't to run and hide. It's to look up. It takes all that chaos on earth and contrasts it with this unwavering stability in heaven. The point is that our real foundation was never the government or the economy or social order. The real foundation is God's sovereignty, this unshakable truth that He's in control, no matter what it looks like down here.
Okay, so once you've crafted a powerful message like that, what's next? I mean, how do you get it into the hands or ears of the people who need to hear it? Well, today, the printed page is just the start. These timeless ideas are being broadcast through a massive, modern megaphone, the podcast. And look, we can't overstate how important this is. Seriously. For that super busy mom running on fumes, or a teacher dealing with a tough class, or some executive buried in meetings, that short devotional you wrote, whether they read it or listen to it in the car, that might be their only connection to anything spiritual all day. It's not just content, it's filling a really deep need.
And this is where it all gets kind of reimagined for audio. Remember those writing patterns we talked about? They translate perfectly to podcasting. That self-examination pattern? Boom, that's a powerful solo episode where you share a personal story. That outside observer story? That's a fantastic interview with a guest. The medium changes, sure, but the fundamentals of telling a clear, heartfelt story, they stay exactly the same. So really, the bottom line is this. The technology can change, the format can evolve from print to podcast to whatever's next, but the mission, that stays the same. The goal is always to serve your listeners, to share something authentic that's rooted in Scripture. The megaphone is just a tool. The heart of the message is what truly matters. So, after all this talk about patterns and platforms and podcasts, what's the big takeaway? Why does any of this really matter? Well, it all comes down to one simple, powerful word: impact. Forget about the money. Forget about getting famous. This is the real reward we're talking about here. It's getting a message from a reader telling you that your words, your little 175-word devotional, helps change their mind about a decision that could have ended a life or a marriage. I mean, the stakes just don't get any higher than that. And that's really why, for so many, this is much more of a calling than a career. Look, you're probably not going to get rich writing devotionals, but the personal reward, knowing that something you wrote gave someone hope or comfort, or maybe even the strength to change their life, you just can't put a price tag on that. So let's leave you with this final thought. Your life, all of it, the good, the bad, the wins, the failures, all the lessons you've learned the hard way, that is your raw material. It's like your own personal library of powerful stories and insights. The only question left really is, what will you pass along?